It is really awkward trying to figure out and talk to a camera, not real people. I'm so better used to talking on a stage. So this is part of my learning and working out loud, because soon I'm going to need to be on camera a lot more with the projects that I'm undertaking. Anyway, I think this is working, so I'm just going to kind of go with it. But this is day 3 of the Working Out Loud Challenge for L&D. Thank you again, Karen Maloney. I missed day 2, and there's a good reason for that. One, I was traveling back from Sydney back home, and then I had a unwell 6-year-old. And if anyone has kids, and especially younger ones, you know that as soon as you walk in the door, and if they're unwell, it's game over. But having said that, part of the work that I'm doing right now is actually a lot of thinking and strategy and planning. And so I mentioned this whole notion of futurabilities and professional or personal development, I guess I should say. And I'm kind of just still working through all that. See, I think there are multiple programs eventually that I want to have under this auspice of futurabilities. But really, when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, I have to sit down and I have to think and do the work about who's my target audience, how can I help them, and what are the benefits or the results that I can deliver for them. So I'm kind of in this place. And what's really interesting is that and you can look on my LinkedIn, but my former life and my first life was in public relations and marketing. So there's a lot of things that I'm learning, and I'm learning to unlearn and or relearning new learnings. So I'm actually invested in myself and taking another marketing program from a well-respected and a successful marketer out of the US. And so this morning, what I was doing right before I got on this video with you guys is that I was listening, or was part of the webinar. And the funny thing was, we were talking about our target audiences, and right, this is stuff I've taught at university. This is the irony of it all is that I know this, right? And I've put it in practice in the past, but there's this kind of fallacy of knowing, and there's this fallacy of having it all together. And so I guess even though I know what I need to do, I know how to do what I need to do, and there might be little finer points or, new tips or tricks or strategies or tactics, there's still some really core principles in this field. And again, I've taught it. I've taught marketing classes. I've done it for clients. But why do I find it so difficult to do for myself? Or maybe I don't trust myself. I don't know. And I think there's this level of this fallacy of having it all together, right? And I think I'm gonna put that back on my old PR training, because everything needed to be polished and everything needed to be perfect. And so this whole exercise of me actually being here with you on a video where I'm somewhat rambling, and I apologize, there is a point here, is actually part of my working out loud and my getting past the fact that in this day and age, everything doesn't need to be polished. So that's part of my insights for today. The other insight for today was the fact that I need to trust myself a bit more, because I asked the question on the webinar about I have 2 potential target audiences that I can look at, because what I'm putting together, for a lack of a fancy name, is all about life design or life redesign in some cases. So I have distinguish for myself 2 very distinct audiences, and one group I've been working with for quite some time, and that's like the 22 to 28 year olds, right? People who've been out in the workforce just a little bit, maybe have gone back to get a postgraduate degree, and really want to start off and have a great trajectory, right? And then the other group is really people probably a bit closer to my age, late 30s all the way up to around the 50 mark, plus or minus a little bit on either end. But those individuals like myself, and I'm 43, almost 44, are going, is this all there is? Is this the hamster wheel or the Groundhog Day of my life? And, you really start to recognize that in at least this plane of existence, we have, as one of my friends said, only so many life units. And you start to go, okay, what am I doing with them? And is this what I want to continually be doing? Whether that's work-wise, relationships, lifestyle, your spiritual development, whatever that happens to be, we come to a point, and maybe I'm having a midlife crisis. I don't know. I'm hoping this is not quite midlife, because I'm like really wanting to go to 100. So I have a few more years for midlife, but regardless, we have 7 kids. Many of you know that. But my first biological child is turning 18. She's doing the HSC. She's in year 12, and she's graduating. And so there's something to be said when we take stock, because one minute I was 26 and I was having her, and now I'm almost 44 and she's graduating, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And so we get caught up in this hamster wheel of going to work, or of striving, or of life maintenance stuff that is necessary, right? In the world and the structures that we live in, it is necessary, but is it necessarily have to be the way we've done it, or the way we've become comfortable doing it, or if you start to have these feelings of the noise is getting louder, as Karen, you would say, the noise is getting louder and something's got to change. Otherwise, I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing and keep getting what I'm getting. And sometimes that might be a good thing, and sometimes it might not be enough. There's something inside that says, I was meant for more. And it doesn't mean money. It doesn't necessarily mean fame. It just means that you are looking for the next level of fulfillment, that next stage in the journey, and somehow you're stuck. And so when I was on, so that's that group, right? And so many of you might be able to relate to that, and if not, that's fine. You're not my tribe anyway at the moment. Come back to me if and when you get that point. So the bottom line is, I have these two demographics and behavioral demographics of people, both of which I love dearly, and both of which I believe I can help based on everything that I've been researching and putting together, and the frameworks and the activities and the way of thinking. And at the end of the day, I'm a teacher, and which is kind of crazy, because I didn't go into my uni life thinking that, but it came out very much that. So anyway, so my learning, so I think there's a lot there. Hopefully there's some things you could relate to or take away from, but the one was this notion that it's a fallacy that we all have it together. Even some of the best teachers may only be a half a step or even one step ahead of the students that they're teaching, but they can still add value. We could not be perfectly polished and coiffed, is that the word? I don't have a ton of makeup on, and that's kind of scary for me to put myself out there, to do that, but I am, because it's real. So there's this fallacy of having it together, right? And even people who on the surface look calm and like they have it all together, I bet you many of them are like the swans, and frantically under the water, they're moving their feet as fast as they can. It's just that their demeanor and their persona isn't necessarily a frantic, and that's the difference between my husband and I. He's like the swan, and I'm quite clearly, wah! And everyone knows it. But anyway, so that was my one. So this notion, this fallacy of having it all together, at least all the time. I think we all have moments of having it together. And I think the other learning in working out loud, because for me right now, working out loud is the thinking, and so the processing, and so the other is the really, I got to trust myself. For holy heck, I've taken my education as far as I can. I'm constantly learning things all the time. And yes, I do apply. I do. But I think what stops me at times from applying is because of this notion that I feel like I need to know more to do more. And so, but that's my challenge this year. And I actually have been working on it quite good, and I'm doing. I'm doing a lot more. So keep watching this space, because while this is way longer, sorry guys, hopefully you can take something from this. So your action points and mine, if this resonates with you, is to move forward, to take that next step, to do an action, to tick off the more than just busy stuff on the list. And at the very least, if you don't have anything on your list to take action on, you should be thinking. You should be finding that quiet space and asking yourself the question, is this where I want to be? If this is not where I want to be long term, I mean, we all have spots where we need to be temporarily, then how can I choose differently today? Or how can I start thinking about what it is I do want? And what are the things that I can do, even in a little way, to choose differently? Because when we choose differently, we get different results, right? Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but I don't necessarily believe that there's any wrong choices there or decisions. There's just consequences, right? And we need to learn from them. Anyway, that's a whole thing for another time. But so I've really made up for missing day 2, and I've given you a long day 3, and I look forward to day 4 in this whole working out loud experiment for L&D. Thanks again. Bye.